This is iRacing.
Respect the bumps, and in the stiffly sprung Lotus 79, that needs to be emphasized even more. This tooth-rattling journey will leave some by the roadside, while only one will emerge in victory lane. We'll find out who that is as we get ready to watch round 2 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on iRacing and the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Roush Racing driver Joey Atterbury. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, being assisted by Christian Duploy, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Joey, this series really is a hotbed of talent, and it's no wonder since it's got one of the most raw open wheelers on the iRacing service.
It's been pretty cool to cover this series for the last couple years, and then, we find ourselves here on the iRacing main channel with the top split, that strength of field broadcast here on at least Sunday morning out on the west coast of the States over here. But it's been just, like you said, a hotbed of talent. We've had a lot of drivers come through that have been extremely successful, some a little bit more specialized in these Lotus 79 machines or even the vintage machines, but ever since iRacing put that new tire on these Lotus, it has been one heck of a season. We saw that last season, and we're about to see it again here all this season.
Yeah, the drivers do seem to love the changes that have been made in recent times. Now, we've seen a lot of Sebring as of late, both with the real world and the virtual 12 hours taking place recently. So if you're not familiar, just in case, let's head to our track guide. Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. Home to the 12 Hours of Sebring, one of the most grueling tests in endurance racing, this is a track which has earned a fearsome reputation among drivers. The circuit itself is located on the southeastern edge of the city of Sebring, Florida, and was built out of Hendricks Army Airfield shortly after World War II. 3 layouts are currently in use, ranging from 1.7 to 3.7 miles in length. The longest course, which is perhaps the most well-known with it being the one used for the famed endurance race, shockingly still contains portions of the original airfield surface. It's this aspect which has become a signature feature of the track, making it extremely bumpy for racing. Sunset Bend in particular nearly shakes cars apart while they attempt to navigate the high-speed 180-degree corner. As you'd expect for the side of an airfield, there's nearly no elevation change over the course of a lap, but many of the curves are dramatically tall and unforgiving, daring drivers to glance them yet not hit them directly. Thankfully, places to pass are plentiful, including spots like the Hairpin and Cunningham. However, the many fast, sweeping turns creates a dilemma for car setup, since a vehicle that's made too stiff could wind up bottoming out on the onerous bumps. In the end, if you have the wherewithal to withstand the track's rough nature, you're likely to fare well. And since Florida fans almost always show up in huge numbers to witness this test of car and driver, you'll have plenty to impress at this legendary North American road course. Well, Joey, it's actually kind of appropriate that we bring the Lotus 79s here because Formula One actually did race here once.
Yeah, at one time they did visit Sebring International Raceway, but we're here on the bumpiest circuit in North America, 17 turns in length, 3.7 miles, and it is known more for that endurance road racing, especially with the Sebring 12-hour, but a couple of highlighted areas that we really need to take note of. Turns 3, 4, and 5 down there, it can get very busy. It's kind of like a funnel effect. And then look towards turn 7. the hairpin. That's probably our biggest and best passing opportunity on the racetrack. But in those first couple laps, make sure to be careful with those cold tires and full tanks of fuel. Head on down to the other side of the track. Turn number 13, tower turn, a bumpy corner that you got to really carry that minimum speed, that rolling apex speed through in order to be fast around here. Turn number 16 through the Le Mans section. It is always a tricky corner that is so low grip. It's so tough to put the power down. And of course, you need it down the Ullman Straight. And who can forget the last turn at Sebring here? Turn 17, Sunset Bend, the bumpiest turn in all of motorsport.
It's going to test these cars without a doubt because they are so low to the ground. Losing any of that downforce through the quick turn 17 will upset the car, no doubt. As for the championship, we're one round in, so it pretty much looks how the results were from last week. And Partanen is our leader ahead of Togo Hisada. Now, he was kind of more well-known in the Lotus 49s until the last couple seasons. He started showing up more and more here in the 79s and just about managed to take victory. It was quite a battle at the end at Road America, but came up short. JD Rodriguez following them home with Timothy Reed in fourth, and Gernot Friesche, the driver with the most wins and most championships in this car, coming home in fifth today. So we'll see if this gets shaken up, but that's the F1 standings. They have another series here within the series itself called the F2 Driver Championship.
Yeah, it's only separated by that driver's iRating, and right now it's Luke Rasputic leading that way after just the single round with 77 points. Aaron Blair back here in second place with Connor Levy in third. Then Juanmi Sermo in here in fourth place. Alex King taking the fifth place spot. And then we also have Cockrum, Summers, Otero, Lehman, and Herner all included in that top 10. But like we've said, it's only the first round so far, so lots of those points are going to be shaken up.
No doubt. And one special thing they do in this series is the Classic Teams Championship. So all of these names, they're going to look familiar. Martini currently up at the top. They're over Ferrari with Parmalat Brabham sitting in the third position. Benetton in P4 with Ligier in the top five. TVR, Northern Winter, Toxo, Olympus, Equipe Ligier were rounding out our top 10. But this is hard fought for. They've been running this for, more than a decade now here in the Lotus 79s. Real quick, though, Joey, you want to run us through some of the race details and what we're looking forward to?
Well, we said we've already done one race. That means we are on race number 2 of this current season, and the drivers are currently in a qualifying session, but they are going to be doing 21 laps around the Sebring International Raceway circuit. And as is every week, it is an open setup, but this community, it is so welcoming. If you've seen the Reddit posts, if you've seen the social media posts, go join the Discord, because guess what? The fastest guys, they give out the best setups. So they are free in terms of those open setups. No spare car. So if you pick up any damage, you got to live with it out there on the racetrack. And then Barney, of course, is watching. Drive through at 17 incident points and a disqualification at 25 incident points today.
So got to keep it on the track, but not as much of a worry here at Sebring, as there's not really much to paved runoff to speak of in most places. Now that qualifying currently sees Togo Hisada on the provisional pole, but boy, is it tight. Viekainen behind him by 0.03 of a second. They each have their second lap to go. This could be decided by the smallest of margins.
And really, the entire top 10 is within 1 second right now. But the cool thing about these Lotus 79 machines is that usually the first lap is not the fastest lap. It takes, a full true out lap to get the temperatures and pressures up in these tires. And then that second qualifying lap, we usually see people go even faster out there. So with 2 minutes and 50 seconds left, I expect the board to shake up.
Gernot Friesche goes up into third. Could he also maybe get himself onto the top spot? He's seen a rejuvenation on these latest tires. Here goes Togo Hisada as he comes through Bishop. This is towards the end of the lap. First one was a 45.5. Can he improve? I'm showing him actually with massive improvement. Unless my timing and scoring is a little bit wonky here, he may absolutely shatter his last lap.
Well, as we say that, Kimmo Viikainen takes away that provisional pole position. So right now it is a 145.51. And I say that Pauli Partanen goes fastest, 145.35. So let's see what Togo Hisada can do as he rounds out of turn number 17. He's looking for faster than a 45.3, 45.666. Not going to do it today.
Oh, so my timing and scoring was not telling me truths there. He is still going to stay in third. Freesia could jump him, though. We're watching him now in the number 2 machine, sitting fourth on the grid. Out, oh, he was a little off the apex down the Ullman straight. Now what he has to do is nail this final corner.
Turn 16 is such a deceiving corner, and it leads out onto this Ullman straight. Like you said, you got to be able to nail it if you want a fast lap time. So Gernot's current time, a 45.68. Let's see if he can improve that. Remember, pole is a 45.35. He crosses the line right now, 45.40. That should jump him up into P2.
Front row start for Freesia. Is he looking for his first championship in a long time, maybe? Could he come away with a victory once again? Let's see if anybody else has a lap left out here. Unfortunately, I see Seb Tixier had both of his laps deleted. He might have to climb up from the very back of the field. It's Neil Kemp. He's also completed both of his laps. He'll see no better than 23rd at the moment. Gabriel Martinez looks like he is in pit lane. So yeah, I think that is it. Everybody who can set a time has set a lap.
I like what Seb Tixier is doing right here, though. Even though it's not going to count in terms of the lap time in the qualifying effort, sometimes if you're unfamiliar with the platform, you got to go out there and get the practice time. We know that Togo Hisada, of course, very prolific in those Lotus 49s. This is another driver that is very prolific in those Lotus 49 machines. And then obviously the appeal of the Lotus 79s is starting to take a stranglehold over there on that group, too.
And for those that aren't familiar, the Lotus 49, despite it being 11 years older than the 79, it's entirely different. So driving the two cars really requires some mastery of two different racing styles out here. So anybody who can be quick, and Gernot Freesia starting from P2 and Kimmo Viikainen in P3. Then it's Togo Hisada starting from third today, Luke Rasputik in P5, Olivier Verhagen in 6, Christian Lohr in P7. Pat Labrosse will start from P8. Hans Sommer, 9th. And Ryan Turcotte rounds out your top 10.
And in 11th place, we've got Sean Langton here in the number 11. Timothy Reed going to be joined up next to him in 12th position. Mitchell Ian Green starting in 13th with Ryan Potter in 14th. Row number 8 sees Javier Mascara and Gabriel Martinez there in 16th. Peter Konechny in 17th with Daniel Kranifus in 18th. And then row number 10 sees Andre Kalinescu as well as Philip Kuhnhart in 20th.
Barry West made top split, and Kevin Parrish will be to his outside. Neil Kemp will start 23rd, last driver to set a time. Jason Clapper doing his typical thing, starting from the back, as Seb Tixier will start in 25th, Daniel Gallus 26th, and Ellis Spice in 27th. Drivers pretty much all on the grid and ready to go. Just a couple up at the top that we're waiting on. And there they go. They plop themselves out. Who will be able to lead down into turn 1? This start could wind up being important as the engines start to rev and round 2 is underway. The green flag is out off the line. It's a fantastic start from Viikainen, and same thing with the car of Hartsonen. So 2 Finns up into turn 1 ahead of Gernot Freesia. Togo Hisada around the outside, off into the grass a little bit. Rasputik's going to steal that third away.
I think Luke Rasputik now goes wide down there in turn number 3, so all of that hard work gained in the first position on that opening lap kind of goes out the window, but it is Pauli Partanen leading Kimmo Viikainen by Gernot Freesia. Your top 3 headed down to the hairpin.
Here's something happened to Ryan Turcotte. He'll return to the racetrack. We'll check on that a little bit later. Look at how fierce it is here in the mid-pack, coming down into the safety pin as cars pile into this sharp right-hander. And that is the likes of Timothy Reed leading this group. A little bit of contact behind him between Kumart and Potter for the 11th position as we watch Seb Tixier already up to 19th.
Yeah, Seb Tixier, this green and yellow machine, trying to take a look around Peter Konechny on the outside. Now he opts for the over-under through turn number 10. That will net him 18th place, so move Seb up one more position. But he's got a lot of fast drivers that are directly in front of him here on the opening lap.
He's making good use of his time, that is no doubt. 21 laps will go away quickly here. He's still being hounded by Konechny just behind him in the blue and white, but he's too far back as they come into Jean-Debienne for the first time. But what about the long Ullman straight as we check on the leaders? The slipstream will be powerful here.
Pauli Partanen is trying to run away as fast as he can. The pressure is coming from this red car. That's Gernot Friesche almost to the inside of Kimmo right here in turn number 17, but thankfully, about halfway through at Apex, Kimmo just kind of shuts the door, stands on the gas, is able to kind of stiff arm his way out of Gernot Friesche's range right here. And look out for Togo Hisada. He was kind of nowhere to be found on the first half of the opening lap. Looks like he's got everything up to temperature now.
Starting to look a little bit like we had in the olden times, as looks like Mitchell Green had some severe damage. He's coming in to try and repair that. The Finns really dominated this series for a while. In fact, there was a season where a couple races in, they had claimed every spot on the podium. I'm not just talking wins. They had locked out the podium for multiple races.
And you talk about the speed that they had. Well, we had talked about the open setup. You want to come and compete here? Guess who creates those open setups and shares them with the community? Pauli Partanen, your leader that's run away 1 second in the opening lap. That is the guy that is handing out the setups. So if you're scared about coming and racing Lotus 79, the fastest setups are up for grabs.
Yeah, they are very inviting. They definitely want to try and encourage more people to participate. Potter here to the inside of Kumart, and he's going to be able to take it away, but he goes deep into the corner, switch back. Oh, as the car gets squirrely with a tire into the dirt. Nice job holding on to it. Philip is going to be able to try and challenge round the outside. Things a little sketchy coming through Bishop. They'll carry on wheel to wheel, but it looks like, oh, off the course and into the tires there for Rylan Potter, and he's out of this race.
So unfortunate there for Rylan. He was having a good race going on, but here's down the Ullman straightaway for what is 13th place. Looks like Andre is going to try to make a move here. He's going to go to the outside around Kranifus, but he's too deep into turn number 17. Instead of trying to gain a position, he's actually going to lose one.
To Jason Clapper, no less, who is now up 11 spots, although Jason might have to give that one back unless he fights hard into turn 1. He's on the inside, and it looks like Andre backs out of it. So Jason up into 13th. No's not familiar with this series. Jason and his brother Kurt Clapper are almost always not qualifying and start from the back. They charge through the field every single time. That's just what they like to do, and Jason's showing why he's good at overtakes.
Oh, and you saw out the rear wing of Jason right there. Andre just getting really loose, trying to put the power down, coming out of turn number 5 there. And these tires are great. They're so maneuverable on where you can put the car and place the car. And here's Barry West, the big cat, going down the inside for what is 18th on Hans Sommer right here. Looks like he's going to be able to get that position. But going back to your point about Jason Clapper, sometimes it's more about the smiles per lap than the finishing position.
Yeah, they don't really care so much about championships. They just want to try and have a good time out there. Meanwhile, look at Friesche. Viekainen under some pressure here. It's difficult to try to pass into Jean-Debienne, so certainly not going to try it this time. But what about up to Sunset Bend? Is this a good enough launch? He stays right in the tire tracks of that number 4. And it doesn't look like he's got enough speed.
And to see Gernot Friesche this fast, this early in the race spells bad news for everybody else. If you don't recognize this name, the most winning driver in Lotus 79 in series history, it is impressive how many wins he's got. He takes it a little bit easier nowadays, but if he is this fast early on, that means it's just going to get even faster. Here comes Togo Asada with a look down into turn number 1. Forces Gernot off the racing line a little bit. Let's see if Togo throws it in at turn number 3. He does, but Gernot hangs on the long way around.
Love that Togo's been bringing his fierceness to the Lotus 79s. He races the exact same way in the 49s. He's still not giving up on it. He's forcing him off the apex almost every single corner. Gernot gives him room, but he's not giving him an inch as he defends down into the braking. He's way too early, or is that way too late from Togo? He goes deep into the corner. He's going to be able to shoot off the right-hander, and it carries on once more. Gernot maybe having the inside into Cunningham.
Let's see the top speed difference, or does Togo clear him going into the brake zone? More aggressive from Hisada, and yes, shuts the door at apex there of turn number 10. So move Togo up into third place and Gernot back into fourth. And the biggest thing I see, it's now 1.7 seconds between Togo and our second place runner of Kimmo Viekainen. They got a little bit of a hole to dig out of to catch that slipstream again.
And just so our audience realizes we're not trying to oversell Frisha here, his number of wins on our stat sheet, 155. Next closest, Nuno Moreira at 39. So yes, he really is the driver with the most wins by a long shot. Hartinen, in the meantime, trying to add to his tally, is he actually sits third on that list at 36, trying to overtake Nuno, who hasn't been around for a long time. And he's doing the right things at this stage because he's starting to run away from Viekainen.
Let's see what Pauli's lap is this time as we get the replay of the initial start. So something happened out back here, and looks like maybe the number 6 car didn't get going immediately, and unfortunately Javier Mascara kind of got collected in that. I saw a couple cars that were a little bit slow to launch there on that green flag.
The 6 and the 26, so that was Sommer as well that didn't take off. And then the 23, that was Andre Kalinescu, who managed to avoid. Man, that was quick hands. I mean, he slalomed through stopped cars.
Sometimes with those standing starts, you never know what you're going to get out there. You got to be pretty much ready for anything. So this battle for third place, ever since Togo got by, Gernot has yet to let go of that rear wing. But I noticed something else that's creeping up in that rearview mirror. Olivier Verhagen there in the number 17 car. He's sitting in 5th place. He's closing it in as Seb Tixier here in the green and yellow car continues to make his way forward. A slow and steady charge. Looks like he's up to 15th now.
He's given Clapper a run for his money, up by 10, and chasing down Andre in that 23 that we mentioned just a moment ago. Let's see what the last laps look like between them. 48.2 for Sebastian, and Andre with a 49.0. So yeah, Seb's catching him for sure.
And just kind of knowing these drivers as Jason Clapper gets by Daniel Kranifus there for what is 12th place on the racetrack. We know a lot of these drivers from the other vintage series or covering them from over the past couple years, and I do think that Seb Tixier is probably one of the fastest in these vintage machineries. He's not as familiar with the Lotus 79s, but I bet you by the end of the 21 laps here at Sebring, he'll have a pretty good top 7 pace at least.
Clapper gets another one, and then into P12, so now 12 up from where he began, appropriately. Next up is Philip K in the number 14, about a second and a half up the road. Kevin Parrish, in the meantime, is going to be able to get by, he's going to be passed by multiple cars. What has happened out of Sunset Bend?
Yeah, it's very slow down the front straightaway there, so something must have happened. I'll try to go find it on my screen, and you know what, Joe? I actually already found it. So turn 17, you got to use up all of the racetrack out there, and I think he maybe just got a little bit unsighted on driver's left and clipped that left rear tire on the tire wall on driver's left side. So lots of lefts going on out there on the front straightaway.
And you know what? He, one of his competitors experienced DJ Clark's favorite thing, target fixation. Hans Sommer basically followed him into the wall. Really unfortunate for both of them. Hans is able to carry on a little bit better, though, as he's got the speed. Meanwhile, we're back with Frisha versus Hisada. Togo kind of has a reputation as the drift king over in the 49s. And this car, surprisingly, despite all the downforce, it actually does drift pretty well. And some of the Finns are very good at it. We'll see if that skill translates over for Togo. If he can wrangle this thing and keep ahead of Gernot Frisha, who's not giving up on him.
Speaking of just kind of the characteristics of the car, I think that's one of the reasons why people have kind of flocked back to these Lotus 79s is iRacing put one of their new tires on it at the beginning of last season, and all of a sudden just the controllability became alive again. I think that the car was maybe a little bit numb in seasons past, and all of a sudden it has become a driver favorite. We typically have 3 full splits out here, sometimes even 4. And Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, today we had 3 splits as well today.
We did indeed have 3 splits, so this is really the top of the top. I had missed what our strength of field was, so we'll see if we can dig that up and find out how deep we are today. But clearly there's some quick drivers out there, because in spite of the speed of Partonen, he's only separated by about 2 seconds over Viekainen. So he's got an arm's length, but he is by no means comfortable. Check out Javier Mascara getting to the inside down at a turn 3, and he's going to carry it on as he sports those Jordan colors and doesn't have the pass done quite yet. Turcotte is going to deny him. Excuse me, it was Turcotte in the Jordan colors, Mascara in the pink and black.
And Javier's another one of our regulars out here. Same thing with Ryan Turcotte directly in front of him. Remember, Javier had that little bit of a slip-up on that opening initial launch of the green flag, so he actually qualified up inside the top 15. I'd expect to see him be one of the drivers that starts to move his way forward a little bit. Looks like Pat here trying to get his way around Verhagen. So they had actually closed it in on the back of Gernot Friesche, but ever since Pat and Olivier here started to duke it out, it's now grown up to 3 seconds. It is a battle amongst these 2 for 5th.
And can we touch on Verhagen's iRating? He is number 17 in this field, and it's not like he has very low iRating. It's about 3,400, but I mean, he's running 5th right now. I have a feeling that iRating is going to start going up if he keeps showing up here.
Absolutely. And you know what? The best part about these strength of field races is that you're competing against like-minded individuals. Pat's taking a look down the inside, room given from Verhagen at Apex, but he just carries the momentum around the outside of turn number 1 to hang on to 5th place. But not only the iRating, Joe, but it's the confidence, right? You're racing with the fast guys, so not only is the number going up, but your confidence is going up every week too.
We will often call this place sort of the birthplace of a lot of pro-level drivers here on iRacing, at least on the open wheel side. You'll see guys like Fluke compete over here. Many of them that were up in the IR01 series that we had for a while on iRacing kind of came out of this group and showed just how good they are in these style of cars. Big look up the inside from Labrosse that time down into Cunningham, but he wasn't quite close enough.
Yeah, and he had a big-time loose moment on the entry of turn number 10, and then once again, a tower turn down there, turn number 13. Pat kind of gets out of shape as we check on the battle for what is 21st place. So this is still Ryan Turcotte in the green number 21, followed by Peter Konechny in the blue and white and Javier Mascara in what I like to call the Rouge car, right? The Rouge and black car making his way up through the field after that a little bit of a poor beginning couple laps.
So would that make the blue machine of Konechny the Sonic car then?
Yeah, go for it. I like it. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. Yes.
I had to get that nerd reference in there at least once, but as they carry on, we're going to jump forward to Hans Sommer. Now, I mentioned he smacked the wall a little bit, but he's still sitting in 17th, so it must not have hurt his time. I'm looking at his laps, and he's still running pretty consistent mid-48s.
Yeah, got Sean Langton directly in front of him. Let's check those lap times as they go by. It seems like Sommer was able to get a little bit of a better exit at a turn at number 17, and sure enough, the lap times are reflective of that. He's going to look down the inside here in turn number 1. Langton leaves plenty of room with a huge wiggle on the outside. Had to catch the car. Thankfully, he keeps it on the surface now, but Hans Sommer is going to take away what is 16th place position. I think that Sean is just happy to still have a car after that turn 1 experience.
Yeah, that was sketchy going out wide there. That can often spit the car out to the inside barrier from there. Checking back in with Togo Hisada. Well, not only has he kept Gernot behind him, but look at this. This is now a 3-way fight for second. That is Viekainen directly in front of him in the white and purple.
Now, this has all happened just in the last couple of laps. I think that Viekainen maybe just had an off lap or two. It's allowed Togo Hisada to close it into within slipstream range, and when he was in that 1.1, maybe 0.9 of a second, he was just like a magnet that just brought him right up to that gearbox of Kimo Viekainen. Now Kimo's a little bit off apex there at turn number 16. I don't think that Togo's car is quite fast enough to pass him down the straightaway here. And remember, it is open setups. Now, I bet you a lot of these drivers are on very similar baseline setups, but you can tweak that wing a little bit, and in terms of top speed, that might be your best defense.
Absolutely, and as we came to this battle, interestingly, Freesia kind of straddled the exit curb coming out of Tower. That's why he's so far behind now. We saw all kinds of sparks out of the rear end of that car. That leaves Togo Hisata to be able to focus forward on Kimo Viekainen. But Kimo's doing a good job holding him at bay, not giving him a chance even to make an attempt yet.
And you know what? I want to give a shout out to a GSRC buddy over here. Craig King is out there watching it, and thank you, Craig. Looks like our strength of field, Joe, almost 4,000 today, 3960 in terms of that strength of field.
We have seen higher, but that's still up there. This is a pretty stiff competition, no doubt. And Togo Hisata, definitely one of those that has a decent I rating in about 6.5K. Out there, Phillip to the inside in the battle for 10th spot. Can't quite get it done yet. Gabriel Martinez going to be able to hold him back behind them. They do have Jason Clapper, so they got to watch out. They could leave themselves vulnerable deep around the outside. Is that too deep? Yeah, that is. Off into the grass we go for Phillip, and he's going to lose his spot instead of gaining one.
Yeah, that was some tricky racecraft there for Martinez. Just drive it in way too deep, kind of force Phillip to go in there way too deep as well. And thankfully, they were all able to get back out onto the racetrack. And now this four-pack of cars is once again kind of compressed together. Just they're shuffled around a little bit in who's leading who. I think that Jason Clapper in that second place in the train, he's going to be looking to get this slipstream right behind Martinez. But it's actually Kuhnhardt right on the back of Clapper. Clapper had a terrible turn number 16, so he's under threat going down the straightaway.
Yeah, Jason, so much wheel spin trying to get the throttle down. He stays in it, coming down to the Sunset Bend. Now he's the one that goes a little bit too far into the corner, leaves a lot of space to the inside, but going wide, well, he had better momentum, and that will deny Phillip that 11th spot, at least for the time being.
See about how they navigate their way through turn one. Jason's just a little bit wider on entry, and oh my goodness, he had a huge loose moment, call it 2/3 of the way through that corner, and once again loose going into turn number 3. And I shouldn't be surprised. You know, I've always been taught loose is fast. It just it's that fine line of how much is too loose.
Yeah, and these cars don't have any need for a pit stop, so don't expect them to have to come in for tires. But I do wonder if maybe he's abused them a little bit much here, and they're overheated.
That could be an issue as well. And specifically in iRacing, I think that when you overheat a tire, it doesn't matter if it's a front or a rear or whichever tire, you actually need to kind of take it easy for not just one corner, but a couple corners, bring those temperatures back down, and then you can kind of hit that mental reset button of, okay, now I've got everything underneath me, let's go after it again.
Labrosse sitting in 6th, looking to try and get himself a nice top 5 here today. Verhagen still in front of him, but they've been caught by Lohr and Reed, so we got a 4-car fight to try and decide this top 5 stat. We've actually, just as a side note, only lost a single car so far. Ryland Potter is our only DNF, and then we've got 26 still out on the circuit.
Pretty impressive. I guess with that near 4,000 strength of field, all of these drivers are well regarded in how fast they get around the racetrack, how clean they are racing with each other, and other than that opening lap, it has been very clean racing. Togo Hisata right on the limit. Now he's forcing the issue down into turn number 3. I thought he was pretty far back there. Kimo definitely shuts the door, but remember how you said Freesia had dropped to 1.5 seconds back? Well, these two battling brought him right back into the picture.
Just almost had one shot there, Togo, and now it's gone away. Or is he going to get a second go at it? He'll try and break deep once again. He did this before with Gernot. Freesia pinches him down to the apex and chops him off on the exit. Togo is not taking no for an answer. That was aggressive, but fantastic.
Look at Viekainen, though. The straight line speed in that machine just powers by. Can he get it stopped in turn number 10? A little bit wide. Togo's going to be able to put the power down and clear Viekainen for what is officially second place. But keep your eye on this white and purple car. Joe, I think that Kimo's running maybe one click less downforce. He's struggling through the corners a little bit, but I bet you by the time we get onto that Ullman straight, that slipstream's going to be powerful for him.
That was absolutely brilliant between the pair of them. And Gernot Frische is at full tilt, too. He was two wheels in the grass coming through Collier, trying to play catch-up. Now he's got a little bit of a mark on Viekainen's gearbox. Look at him weave to try and break the slipstream. Now he'll hold the inside. Or no, he's actually just following Togo, who's also trying to break that slipstream. He knows that that car is strong in a straight line. They'll dive down into Sunset Bend, coming off the turn. Togo able to get to the throttle just that little bit sooner.
I think that's exactly what we're seeing is Viekainen's car, the white and purple car that we're following, a little bit faster on the straight line. He's going to make another lunge into turn number one. He's going to try to force Togo off the racing line. Gernot Frische loops it himself in turn number one, as it looks like Togo's going to hang on to what is P2.
I think there was a little contact with the wall for Frische. He carries on. Hopefully the car is okay. Could have been a lot worse, but he definitely got a tiny bit of damage out of that, brushing the Armco. Boy, Togo had to work for that one. Question is, can he get away in time before there's more attacks from the Finn?
I think that Togo's going to be okay. I think that his car is coming to him, and the more laps that we do, it's just going to be faster and faster. I think that overall, the grip level on Togo Hisata's setup is just a little bit better throughout the majority of the Sebring International Racetrack. While Kimo Viekainen, if he can hang in the slipstream, maybe cool everything down, might have a shot at a pass on the straightaway later in the race.
A rare mistake out of Gernot Frische, spinning the car through turn one, puts him back in fourth, so he didn't really lose a position, but he lost a lot of time, and so did Togo and Kimo. It's now 5 seconds up to Partman. He's probably grinning ear to ear after watching that battle in his mirrors.
Nothing like you like seeing better than two of your competitors just kind of arguing amongst themselves, and you can run out to an easy victory. That's exactly what Pauli Partanen is trying to do. So this battle for 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. Looks like Tim Reed is going to be trying to get around Christian Lower right here in turn number 17, really deep on the brakes, and Christian's just going to kind of give way to Timothy Reed as he moves up into 7th.
Yeah, it looked like there was a slip-up off of turn 16 there for the 8 car, so that cost him down the critical Ullman straight. Timothy Reed up 5 into 7th. He's been a long-time competitor in this series. Kevin Parrish, in the meantime, coming around that final turn in a nice little fight with Langton. This is for 18th spot, wheel to wheel, down into turn 1. And Kevin's going to be on the outside into this corner. As we've seen, that can be a tricky place to be. A lot of trust in your rival on the inside, and they'll hold station, although faster off the corner means Kevin will now take that 18th spot.
Yeah, Sean might have even gotten a little bit loose there in the brake zone of turn number 3, so looks like he's actually struggling with those rear tires a little bit. I mentioned turn 3 and then turn 5, he was really loose again. So tires, they're always important, and it's always a trigger word for me. The more you abuse them at the beginning, the less they are going to be there for you when you need them at the end.
Quickest drivers in this series know how to get the best out of them without using up their stuff, and that's why you see some of those up at the front just miles ahead of these cars behind here towards the back of the field. And yet, as we said, an SOF of about 4K or so, you have to be fast just to be at the tail end of this field. I'm pretty sure I would be way, way behind Mitchell Green, who's our last car running right now.
Joe, I'm pretty sure that I would be in third split, and even at this point in the race right now, I'd probably be in pit lane on third split.
Here we go. Clapper and Martinez. That's Clapper around the outside, Martinez on the inside. We saw these two earlier, and it's taken a while for Jason to give a go at things. Unfortunately, it doesn't stick. Gabri holds on to 10th place for the time being, but down into turn 1, again forcing him to defend. The inside car getting very loose over the bumps, almost drifting into the side of that white and red number 12, down to the braking of turn 3, and that is too deep for Clapper. Martinez lives to fight another day.
Jason certainly had a power move around the outside of turn number 1, and he'd almost cleared Martinez, but just a little bit too deep into that turn number 3 brake zone. Got to make up all of that ground once again and try for another pass as this battle for what is a top 5, right? It seems like Gernot Frische is kind of just ahead up the road. So this 4-pack of cars led by Verhagen is all arguing over a top 5 finish with, call it 6.5 laps left to go.
Yeah, in fact, Frisch's, I think, reeled in via kind of a bit. I wonder if there's a mistake from Kimo that we had missed, because he's now 2 seconds off of Togo as well, so he's dropping away. But Verhagen also falling off of Frische. So we've got interesting dynamic here, especially with Reed climbing over the rear of Pat Labrosse, trying to take that 6th place away. Just needs a good run coming down the Ullman Straight. Oh, and he's got it. He is pulling him in.
See if he can make the move into the brake zone, and you see Pat kind of still sticking on the left side of the track, and no, Timothy's actually going to lift off of the gas going into the brake zone, but look at how wide he's really trying to open up 17, stand on the gas at this part, but Pat does a terrific job himself through Sunset Bend to Timothy Reed at an arm's length distance here. Tim's not going to be close enough going down into turn number 1. And something else I'm noticing, and oh my goodness, that was one of the cars going off directly in front. That was Olivier Verhagen off in turn number 1. One of those bumps definitely catching him off guard.
So he loses some of those valuable spots. He was doing such a good job, too. He was under attack for a good portion of this race, as we see a replay of Rasputik also having issues and falling down the order. He's already at least got one back from Philip Kuhnhart and put himself into 12th as we join those two. Philip trying to fight back down into the safety pin, forcing Luke to have to defend. Oh, no, he's going to leave the door open as he comes back to the racing line. They'll stay as they were.
I think that Luke probably has good confidence in his speed level, especially after he just kind of made that silly little mistake down there at turn number 13. So I'm sure he's just going to kind of be on the gas and try to drive away from Philip Kuhnhart as the Big Cat continues to be in one of these battles a little bit further back here. Barry West currently being chased by Kevin Parish here in the red car. Kevin's going to look out drivers left. And, of course, we call Barry West the Big Cat because he's got the giant lion livery on the front end of this Lotus 79 machine.
It does feel fitting with his personality, too, because he's a very laid-back character. As hard as he likes to fight and as much as he loves his car, you talk to him, and you'd think after the race he's just come off of a nap or something when he's chatting with you. But he does love to talk as well, gives us a lot of insight. And right now, I'd love to hear his thoughts about having Parrish really filling up his mirrors. That was a big slide from the 22.
I think the only thing that would make this livery better, Joe, is if instead of Samson, it was Samsonite.
Yeah. Oh, we get so much mileage out of that joke. Around the outside, coming into Sunset Bend. Is Parrish going to be able to take this away? He pinches him down to the apex. He gets a better run coming off the corner. Or does he? Does look like West is now pulling slightly ahead. Back in front. Parrish now deeper into the first corner. He's got the car ahead. Will he keep it out of the gravel and grass is the question. Yes, he does. Kevin takes 17th.
Let's see about through turn 3. This has been a tricky area for everybody to navigate all race long, but looks like Kevin's got it all hooked up through that kind of, call it technical section around Sebring International Raceway here. Looks like Neil Kemp has decided to move his way up into what is 23rd on the racetrack, just past Peter Konechny in his white and blue machine, and now Ellis Spice himself is going to get by Konechny, so down 2 spots in a matter of a few corners, unfortunately for Peter.
That was very nice from Spice. I mean, he just inserted himself into the equation at the last moment, stole it away, but I don't think he's going to be able to keep it. Look at how quick Konechny is. Well, maybe he will. Konechny overshoots the hairpin, and he'll fall back.
So now Peter's got to try to go up the road a little bit to catch back up to Ellis Spice and see if he can grab that position back. As we see on the top of the screen, Pauli Partanen sets another fastest lap of the race, a 1:46.0. I think one of the cool parts about these Lotus 79 cars is that as the fuel burns off, they definitely get faster. So if you're looking to get the fastest lap of the race, it is going to be in probably the last 3 laps. And even to do that, a lot of these drivers, they play that chess game to make sure you got the best tires, the coolest tires, maybe take a lap or 2 off, and then really get after it on those last couple.
Yeah, and that's not exaggeration. We've seen drivers fight over that fastest lap because I know it was worth 2 points. I know they recently redid some of the points in this series, so I'll have to double check if it's still worth those 2 points or not. Meanwhile, in the upper right, I'm kind of excited by this battle between Martinez and Clapper because Gabri is struggling a little bit on those tires. We already know Jason has been really squirrely all over the place in the second half of this race, so that'll be fun.
Always trying to move up the most amount of positions in the race. That's Jason Clapper's mission out there every single time. And right now he's up 14, so he is currently leading that charge. And you know what? There's a car that kind of popped into my head. He's a little bit in no man's land. I was hoping maybe Seb Tixier was going to get up there and challenge Jason Clapper for that biggest mover, biggest gainer of today. But I think it just kind of goes to show you how fast Jason actually is.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, that's a real testament. We're going to go wheel to wheel into Bishop. It's narrow into there, as Philip has found out. And he has to back out of it. Almost thought he had the opportunity.
And right behind these two is that driver that I was just mentioning, Seb Tixier. So with Philip and Luke battling for what is 12th place on the racetrack, driving down into the sunset. This is one of the coolest parts about Sebring is just look at that sun start to set low on the horizon. And here in the broadcast booth, Joe, we don't really kind of have much of an issue with it, but when you're sitting down on the pavement like these open wheelers are, the sun can kind of unsight you depending on which corner you're coming up to.
Very much so. iRacing does a good job of trying to mimic reality in that sense, and it could make the track difficult to make out details. So if you're looking for your brake marker, it could be bad news as we got a problem. Philip is going to get a spot over Rasputic, who does a full 360 out of turn 3.
I think it was just a loss of traction, a self-inflicted mistake from Luke Rasputic there, so it drops him down into what is 14th place position. And something that I've noticed here as we're, call it 2.5 laps remaining, Gernot Frisha has hunted down Kimmo Viekainen. Let's see what the replay is here on the top of the screen with Javier Mascara as we get those pictures of what is the 3rd place battle. This is actually at the same exact spot in the racetrack. Let's see what happened to Mascara. Does he climb a curb? Oh, just a little bit too deep going into what is turn 15 right there.
Yeah, once you hit that curb, this car's got to be difficult. For those that aren't familiar, actually, we'll talk about that point in a second. Gernot Frisha is going to make us follow the action here in the battle for a podium position. Viekainen has it. Frisha wants it, and he's quick. And he's quick down into the corner as well. That was a deep send. That forces Kimmo to have to bail out of the apex. And Gernot took that one by force, essentially.
I loved it. That was a fantastic move from Frisha. And now I'm wearing my tinfoil hat over here. I'm only speculating that Viekainen is on a slightly lower downforce level, but you look at where he's struggling, the corners and the brake zones. Where did Gernot Frisha take advantage? Diving it into the brake zone in one of the fastest speed corners on this racetrack. I do think that Viekainen did a little bit of a change-up with his setup to try to gain something, but unfortunately in the long run, I think the grip is what he wanted.
Yeah, I agree. And I mentioned that Hisada had caught up to Partanen slightly. Well, I think Pauli's responded. It's now back up to 5.5 seconds. He saw him coming and said, nuh-uh, that's not happening, buddy. You're going to have to settle for P2 today as we watch Togo come down into Cunningham. Now, what I was going to talk about before we got that battle for P3 is this is the car that pioneered the ground effects, getting most of the downforce with the flow underneath the car itself instead of the wings on the car. So a bumpy track like this, it makes it very, very difficult at times.
Pauli Partanen has no problem with the difficulty in understanding these cars, where the grip level comes from. Like I said, if you're interested in racing these Lotus 79s, this driver right here who put it on pole position, who has led every single lap of the race, this is the driver that is handing out the setups to everybody. So if you think you can be fast and come beat Pauli Parton and come race in the Lotus 79s, 1 lap remaining here at Sebring.
Really tells you how confident he is in his abilities. Says, here you go. You know, if you can be as fast as me with it, then you deserve it. And so nobody's able to prove that here today. How about Timothy Reed and LaBrosse, though, still fighting for what is going to be a top 5 finish. Tim's got a great run coming down the main straight into turn 1, sends it in as far as he thinks it'll grip, but the car starts to slip around the outside. LaBrosse back at him. He's got the inside into turn 3. Timothy makes some fights. Oh, both of them losing traction off the corner. They're at 10/10 and then some.
Yeah, and then Reed once again slips up through the apex of turn number 5, so Pat is able to kind of escape down the road a little bit. I just want to give props to both of these drivers. They're both up several positions from where they started today's race. I think they'll be happy with a smile once they reach the checkered flag today.
Which is going to be coming soon. We're on the final lap of the race. Partonen already halfway around here. As we said, about 5.5 seconds that he put over Togo Hisada. You just get to him in the picture in the background as Pauli rounds the next corner.
So Pauli's got one more technical turn right here. Turn number 16. This can be a doozy of a corner. Just put the power down, and you see him even kind of flirting with the tail end grip there, squirming the car out onto the Ullman straightaway. Now he's just got to navigate the bumps and collect another checkered flag.
Partonen has 2 titles to his name. The last one came in 2023 Season 4. He's overdue for another crown, and he's certainly making claim for an opportunity for one as he'll win round 2 back-to-back to start the season for Partonen.
A fantastic way to open the season. Togo Hisada, I think, will be happy with a second-place finish himself as you see this kind of sunset over the front straightaway at Sebring. Gernot Frische with a nice third-place finish. Kimmo Viekainen will probably be scratching his head a little bit, wondering how he slipped all the way back to 4th. And Jason Clapper with a huge slide through turn number 17 is going to have to settle for 10th place behind Gabriel Martinez.
I mean, he absolutely sent it into the final corner, and it didn't pay off, but at least he didn't lose a position because Daniel was right behind him. We have to give credit to Frische there. Remember, full 360, bounced off the barriers, and still finished on the podium.
I think that's why he's one of the best on iRacing, not just in these cars, right? We documented how many wins he's got compared to everybody else. I mean, what is it? 155 wins is what Gernot Frische has. And you don't get that amount of wins just by having a give-up attitude. Gernot proved that today.
Indeed. Somebody burning it down there into turn 1 after their race is over, enjoying some donuts. Ellis Spice going to be amongst our last to finish here. 25 cars going to be on the lead lap here today. As we said, we only lost 1, and then Mitchell Green, after some repairs, returned to finish a few laps down in at 26. Konechny and Mascara will wrap up the field here today. We got a great one for round 2. Can't complain about that. So let's go through our finishing order here today. And it wound up being Pauli Partonen taking 1-2 wins on 1-2 races. Togo Hisada doing the same. Second place for him, proving to be quite fast. Gernot Frische in P3 was then followed by Viekainen finishing 4th today. LaBrosse had to fight for that 5th, with Timothy Reed having climbed up 6 positions to finish that P6. It was Verhagen in 7th, Christian Lohr in the 8th spot, Gabriel Martinez 9th, and Clapper up 14th to get a top 10.
Across the page into 11th is going to be Daniel Krenefus back here. Philip Kuhnhardt finishing in 12th. Seb Tixier, our second biggest mover of the day. Our biggest mover was definitely Jason Clapper there, up 14. Seb up 12 today to finish in 13th. Luke Rasputic, we saw him have a couple extracurricular activities and spins out there. Unfortunately, falls to 14th after qualifying inside the top 5. Andrei Kalinescu in 15th back here. Hans Sommer in 16th. Kevin Parish in 17th. Barry West, the big cat, in 18th. Daniel Gallus, nice run up 7 into 19th. And then Sean Langton with a top 20 finish.
21st went to Neil Kemp with Ryan Turcotte in P22. Ellis Spice in 23rd, Konechny 24th, and Mosquera, as we said, last one on the lead lap, 25th. Mitchell Ian Green, 26th, and Potter, our only DNF of the day. And I mean, this is why I'm so glad that iRacing is willing to show this series, Joey, on their main channel. The racing today proved how much it deserves to get some spotlight.
100%. I think that these Lotus 79s were a little bit a snooze fest in previous seasons, but the last 2 seasons, starting last season plus this season, it is shaping up to have an average of 3 splits, if not 4 splits for these strength of field races. So if you're thinking, oh, there's not that popular, no, there is nearly 100 people signing up to race these strength of field races, if not more, every single Sunday out here. So fantastic racing. And then talk about some great stories up at the front too, right? Togo Hisada out of the 49s and really making a championship effort here in the 79s. Gernot Friesche doing a complete 360 and then still ending up on the podium. Just some good racing all over.
Fantastic stuff as we see a few of the highlights from today's race, but I do believe we have our winner ready to talk to us, Pauli Partinen. And Pauli, it looked like you had things for the most part under control. We saw Togo gaining at one point, but then suddenly that gap widened. Did you see him and pick up the pace a little?
I think I didn't really pick up the pace, but I talked very, very shortly with Togo, and he said that he was a bit struggling with the heating of tires because he had to battle with Kimmo and Gernot. So once you get these tires to heat up too much, it's very hard to cool them down. So I think that was one of the reasons why Togo was not really able to gain as much as he can, because I have been slower than him whole week, something like 3/10 a lap, so I was surprised of my pace, but I think just Togo had some troubles, and that was the real reason behind it.
Yeah, we touched on the tire temperatures a bit during today's race. How do you manage that knife's edge of being so fast but holding onto the rubber? What's the secret?
I don't know the secret really, but I think it's just about drive it on the limit all the time, but never ever try to like do any wheel spin or drifting, because every time you do that you heat up the tires a bit more and more, and eventually it just gets worse and worse, and then you get slower and slower, and when you have less grip you will slide even more. So it's like never-ending cycle if you heat up the tires too much. So if you heat up the tires, I think you just need to cool down and try a bit slower, and then when you can really feel that the tires are already better, then you can start to push again. So I think that's the reason, secret behind it. I think, I'm not sure.
Well, I'll take your word for it, because I mean the proof is in the pudding. However, it's been since 2023 season 4 since you've claimed a championship here in the 79s. First 2 races, 2 wins. Are you on course for adding a third?
I don't know, maybe. Like I said last week, I think Togo really has the pace, but he bit struggles with the quali and a bit struggles with the race starts, and I think the race pace, I don't have it right now. Like I really don't have it right now. But I think my biggest the way I win these races is that I'm very, very good at quali. Like I can do super good quali laps in every broadcast. Like I don't usually mess that up. So I think that is my strongest point. I think that's one of the weaknesses of Togo, but on the race he's on other levels. So we will see. Last week was super good battle. I'm sad that we didn't have it this week, but hopefully for the next week we will have it once again.
Well, again, congratulations. Just an impressive run up front for the win.
Thank you.
That was Pauli Partinen taking victory here today. He was followed by Togo Hisada. I believe Joey has caught up with him.
Yeah, Togo Hisada, glad to have you here in the booth. Congrats on another second place finish.
Yeah, second again. I just have no pace. I don't know why, but the qualify is just unbelievably slow. The need to pass the Gernot and the Kimmo in the early stages because the Paris has a pace, so he's running away. Just forced me to push so hard in the early. There's overheating, struggle to cooldown gain, and then just cannot keep up with Pauli. But the after the day, in the end, they have maybe had the fastest lap, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
So just definitely a pace.
I was going to point that out, Togo, because your fastest lap of 45.7, Pauli's fastest lap of 45.8. So you do have the pace, but it seemed like those first opening laps, right? Those first 5 laps is where you fell back and had to kind of regain that ground. What do you think you can improve on in those opening laps?
Just practice more. I'm not. I'm not sure why I'm so slow in the quali today, because the play broadcast race slot and the yesterday's race I will do a very nice late lap, I think, in the quali. So it might be, but just practice for the qualifying and the start. Launch the car. It's my big issues. Every week, every day. So just practice to how to start this car. Yeah.
And then I got to ask you, because you're obviously multi-time champion in the 49s, and you've decided to come over to the 79s now. How do you like this car, since it's kind of your main focus now?
This car is so fun to drive. A little bit, little bit loose setup. It suits very well with this car. Just I'm driving like this car. How should I say? But if you are Ronnie Peterson or Jules Villeneuve fan, and this car is just provide you such a feelings, pushing every corner, counter steer every exit, and just so cool to drive. The racing is very competitive, and every driver is so fair, so hard, and it's one of the best series on the iRacing service right now, I think.
Well, thank you, Togo. I think that you are a huge part of the community. It doesn't matter if it's the 49s or the 79s. You can't mention them without mentioning Togo Hisada being up at the front. So thank you for coming out and providing us some great racing. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
Global Sim Racing channel, streaming team, thank you very much, and the Lotus 79 community. Yep, that's all.
Thank you, Togo Hisada, driving that number 3 car today, finishing in 2nd place at Sebring Raceway.
Third was Gernot Friesche, who definitely had a wild ride, and Gernot with a full spin, a brush of the wall, and still on the podium. Are you trying to challenge Togo for his drifting skills?
Obviously, I've learned from him. On the other hand, I have to disagree with Togo. He's not slow in qualification, not at all.
Yeah, it looked like he had pretty darn good pace out there. But, I mean, you, him, and Kimo fought almost the entire race. That had to be nerve-wracking with all 3 of you trying to decide that 3rd position.
Yeah, it was. It was an entertaining race and a complicated race, and basically I knew it after qualification because in the first 2 races this week, I saw that Kimo does rocket starts, and Togo was the fastest guy on race pace. So I knew that I would be in the sandwich and probably be in trouble during the race.
Well, I mean, if that was trouble, it was pretty impressive. How much damage was on the car when you hit the wall there? Because we were worried that you wouldn't have the pace, but it seemed like you bounced back easily.
Yeah, I think it was really lucky because I touched the wall quite a bit, but I didn't get any damage message, so maybe the car was still fine. And at one point I was even doing the fastest race lap, so I think there was not much damage.
Well, sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, I suppose. Again, congratulations on a very hard-fought podium.
Yeah, thanks very much. Congrats to Pauli and Togo. They do really well this season, in the past as well. So see you guys. Thanks.
All right, so that was third place finisher Gernot Friesche. And I think that's going to wrap us up for today. But man, Joey, love hearing these drivers and some of the insights that they're able to offer, because like we said, these are some of the fastest drivers on iRacing. So for them to open up and talk about how to be quick is kind of invaluable.
I really liked listening to Gernot there at the end, because he said Togo's not slow. And if Togo Hisada thinks he is slow, oh man, it is bad news for everybody else, because that means he's going to be studying. That means he's going to be getting faster, and watch out for that guy.
No doubt. He seems to be quick almost everywhere he shows up, and he definitely loves these vintage cars, so look forward to seeing him. But it's time for us to wrap things up, so of course we want to give a big thank you to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as to iRacing for putting us on their main channel. Thanks to those behind the scenes, Joey, Daniel, Christian, and Dougie. Make sure to subscribe to both of the channels, and let's not forget, next race, we're going to Monza, and that is going to be Sunday, April 6th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. After that, today on the Global Sim Racing channel, we've got the Portland Virtual Grand Prix coming up. That'll be at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. There's our Monza, and that is without the chicanes as well. So they like to do those the old school way here in the 79s, and I can tell you, it's a ton of fun to watch. Be sure to check out our other broadcasts, but until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.